Okay, back with another video. In this video, we're going to compare this method that we're using from the experiential, the meaning exercise. I want to kind of overlay that with astrology and the concept of a birth chart or a chart. So you can kind of see what we're dealing with here. When we say principles and things, when we're dealing with symbols, patterns, and principles from the experiential perspective, I want you to see how that plays in other systems. So in previous videos, we talked about the model of placing the experience of interest on the circle at 12 o'clock. All right, and triangulating it to the moments near the experience when the experience happens. So when they're trying to find somebody using cell towers, they basically triangulate their location. So basically they find the signal that your phone is giving off, and they narrow it down to the various towers that are near your location so they can figure out what your location is. So that's basically what we're doing. We're narrowing down the moment from the moment the experience starts through the climax until it ends. All right. That's the unfolding of an abstract principle or theme manifesting into physical phenomenon, okay, as one event from an enduring cycle. All right. In astrology, the birth chart is pulled. The ascendant is at 9 o'clock on our clock chart. All right. The ascendant is at 9 o'clock. The midheaven is at 12 o'clock. The ascendant is arguably the most important single influence in a person's birth chart. They're normally going to say it's between your sun sign, which everybody, you meet a girl at the club. Hey, baby, what's your sign? You're talking about sun sign. When you say what's your sign, to try to pull a female. When we're talking about the ascendant, that's the sign that rises with the sun when you were born. Your sun sign is wherever the sun has traveled around the circle. So these planets that we're talking about, they're traveling around a circle. So in our mind, we're conceptualizing this in a geocentric perspective. With the experiential, we're conceptualizing it with a you-centric perspective, right? So your sun sign is wherever the sun has traveled around the circle at the time you are born. Every planet or what they call planetas, wanderers. Every planet travels the circle. They wander around this circle. The circle is divided up into 12 sections, right? Emblematic of 12 phases of the energy. So like in our experiential example, when we had from horizon to zenith, the horizon or experience start being at 9 o'clock, and the climax being at 12 o'clock. This accounts for a progression through 9 phases of energy. So just like we're progressing through 9 phases of energy in this model that we're using with the circle from horizon to zenith, with the zodiac in astrology, you're progressing through the 12 houses of the zodiac. So with our model, with the experiential, we're just doing 90 degrees of this circle. So that's where all the action is for us. But as far as with astrology, the whole circle is action. You see what I'm saying? So you're progressing through the various houses and everything like that. Each planet is governed by a theme or principle. And you can Google that, what each house represents, what each planet represents, and they're not gonna give you something specific. It's gonna be a general theme. The first house represents how you feel about yourself. The second house represents, finances and things of that nature, and love or what have you. So it's gonna deal with that type thing. Each section of the circle also represents a theme. So when the planet travels the circle, they are empowered by certain sections and their themes, and weakened or conflicted by other sections and their themes, right? You see kind of how this is playing out. When they occupy space near certain other planets, they are either strengthened, weakened, etc. by the theme this planet represents. So this is the importance of themes. So when we talk about themes or principles in the experiential and in true master and stuff like that, this is the same stuff that's been used since ancient times with astrology. When they talk about the gods, plural, there's different distinctions of that. Sometimes in some of these stories, they're talking about physical beings that embodied principles and stuff like that, that such and such was Zeus or whatever case may be, that physically walked the earth. But in a sense, in another context, they're talking about the forces behind the planet. Because I don't like to get caught up in the planet, like Mars is, doing something. It's really the planetary motion is really a symbolic occurrence. It's just like when we examine a event on the circle, or with the experiential concept or what have you. Who was there in the situation, where you were, the landscape of the situation is totally irrelevant. It's about the theme that's where your message is going to come from. So when I view the planets, the planets are like that. They're more themes than objects in the sky. Let's see. So basically, the themes of different planets, when they're in similar proximity to each other, affect the overall happenings and events on the planet. The placement of a planet in a particular section of the circle that has a theme, they may have conflicting or accommodating themes. The angle of the relationship, the angle that a planet may have to another planet, their themes can interact in that sense. So you kind of see where we're going with this. In True Master, we're not dealing with a chart. We're dealing with your field. You see what I'm saying? You're dealing with your subconscious landscape, everything that's in your awareness, all the people in your awareness, all of your resources, everything that exists in your circumference or what have you. So this is kind of like the fundamental difference between this. So as we can see, the most well-organized system of divination on Earth in existence is set up very similar to how we're talking about with the experiential model. So we're still using the concept of the circle. You're still using the concept of traveling the circle. And as you travel the circle, you're going through various different phases of energy. You're still dealing with themes. You know what I'm saying? When we talk about the energy, more so we're talking about situations, but the origin or the source of those situations is the theme that they represent. So that's pretty much what I want to go over in this video. I just kind of want to bring it to people's awareness that the concept of themes and it's consistent throughout occult literature, magic, and everything like that. And I know a lot of people might look at it like, a lot of more religious people might look at it like, okay, well, you're talking about magic and occult. Oh my God, that's the devil. Well, realistically, when you get to a certain place in your understanding, like I said, if you get book 1, it's going to talk about all this mystical stuff. You get book 3, it's going to talk about what scientists call this stuff. And it's a bunch of literature from scientists, engineers, people with patents that use this same understanding to actually build things. Like we talk about the progression of numbers 0 through 9. That's how they arrive at electrical theory. That's the same thing that makes the lights come on in your house or whatever. Without this stuff we're talking about now, the number 1 through 10 and all that stuff like that, you wouldn't have electricity coming through your walls. So, just kind of wanted to touch on that. Thanks a lot for listening.